that again. Good morning, everyone. There we go. Welcome to Cedar Lane. So we've got a few of our favorite hymns this week. And you're not really going to need a hymnal because I think you know some of these. I've got Peace Like a River, and then there's More Love Somewhere, and then the words for welcome are actually on your program. So if you want to follow along, we'd be delighted to have you sing with us. I've got Peace Like a River, and if you feel so moved to clap or to get up or whatever to express yourself, please feel free to.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. Sing, I got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river.
I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got strength. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. Amen. And always, we could use a little bit more love. Couldn't you use a little bit more love? I didn't hear you. Couldn't you use a little bit more love? I think this whole world could benefit from a little bit more love. And you know what? There is more love somewhere. There is more love.
There is more love somewhere.
There is more love.
There is more love somewhere.
And I'm going to keep on till I find it.
I'm gonna keep on till I find it.
'Cause there's more love
There is more
somewhere.
love somewhere.
Sing with us. There is more hope somewhere.
There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more
Awesome. And now a piece that we have been singing for the past few weeks because we really want this message to sit in. Is everybody welcome here?
Yes.
Is everybody welcome here at Cedar Lane?
Yes.
There we go. So why don't you stand if you feel capable and join in singing welcome. Welcome to this place, and know that you are invited to come and take your place. The words are on your program.
Let's grow together for a while and ask where we begin.
To build a world.
Build a world where love can grow and hope can enter in.
To be the hands of healing.
The hands of healing and to plant the seed of peace.
Singing welcome.
Singing welcome. Welcome to this place. You're invited to come and take your place. All are welcome to grow in love and grace. 'Cause everyone is welcome here.
All are welcome.
All are welcome in this place.
Let's talk together.
Let's talk together for a time.
Justice works
Justice
for
works
all.
for all.
Where pride and power
Pride and power kneel to serve the lonely and the needy.
joy will dwell
And
within us.
joy will dwell within us as we join our hands to pray. Singing welcome, welcome to this place. You're invited to come and take your place. All are welcome to grow in love and grace. 'Cause everyone is welcome here. All are welcome in this space.
Let's take verse 3 a cappella.
Let's dream together of the day when we will live in peace. A city built of love and light, of hope, of peace and joy, where our mourning turns to dancing. Every creature lifts its voice,
Singing welcome.
singing welcome, welcome to this place. You're invited to come and take your place. All are welcome to grow in love and grace. 'Cause everyone is welcome here. All are welcome in this place.
Singing welcome.
Welcome, welcome to this place. You're invited to come and take your place. All are welcome to grow in love and grace. 'Cause everyone is welcome here. All are welcome in this place.
Amen.
Welcome, welcome to this space. Good morning. I am the Reverend Dana Edwards, and my pronouns are she and her. And we welcome you to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church. We are situated on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank people, from which the name part of the Piscataway group of tribes, from which the name Anacostia is derived. And on the land which enslaved African people and their descendants labored without choice or reward. We honor with gratitude the land and the people who have protected it throughout the generations.
Good morning, Reverend Dana.
Good morning, Abi. How are you today?
I am doing well.
Wonderful.
Good morning. And namaste.
Namaste.
I'm Abi Janamanchi. I use pronouns he and him. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your beliefs, gender identity, immigration or documentation status and disability, and wherever you're joining us from today, in person or from home, you are welcome to bring your whole self here.
Amen. If you're joining us for the first time today, please raise your hand so that we can, if you're in person or online, so that we can give you a small gift if today is your first time joining us.
Wonderful. We
Welcome.
have some guests, and welcome all of you. Let's give our guests here and online a warm Cedar Lane welcome.
You're invited, both online and in person, to fill out the newcomer form that will be linked in the chat if you're online.
And please join us after the service in the library. If you're visiting us today and have some time, Reverend Dana will be available to share a little bit more about Unitarian Universalism, this wonderful and quirky congregation, as well as get to know you a bit. So we hope you'll have a chance to connect with us afterwards. And if you have been attending for a while and you are moved to join our religious community, we welcome you. Please reach out to Nicole Singer, our membership coordinator, who is right now busy passing out those welcome gifts. You're welcome to speak to Nicole after the service, and she will be happy to guide you on how to become a part of our religious community, which also includes that secret ritual, right?
Oh, yes. Yep.
That happens behind the shoji screens. Anyway, I'm kidding.
No secret rituals.
I just loved your expression there for a moment. So.
Our pastoral visitors are here today as an extension of our ministry team. Kay Gottesman is our pastoral visitor who's in person here today, and we also have pastoral visitors online as well.
Thank you for your ministry, Kay. And now we have a few announcements. You have been hearing about the Dare to Dream raffle, our big fall fundraiser. All right, give it up. Really, come on. Give it up for Dare to Dream. So the tickets are on sale. They're available here if you're here in person, and also you can get them online. Stu and Kathy Grubman will be available after the service, and this is a really fun fundraiser and an opportunity for us all to support the mission and ministry of Cedar Lane. So thank you in advance for supporting this amazing fundraiser, which we will have a drawing after the Diwali service on October 23rd, which will also include a delicious Indian lunch. So I hope you will put that on your calendars and come and get ready to dream with us.
And I heard that if you like those fidgets, those creative listening tools that are in the back of the sanctuary, if you purchase a Dare to Dream ticket, they are giving away some of those fidgets, so you can take them home with you. So if that's your thing, do it. So We also have a listening session coming up, Avi.
That's right.
Yeah, and that listening session is put on by our Board of Trustees, who had recently sent a letter stating that some of our members from diverse religious communities and backgrounds have asked us to consider changing the word church to a more inclusive term. So we'll be having a second listening session this afternoon at 12:30, in person in the chapel, which is through the lounge, and a third listening session on Zoom on Thursday. So we hope you can all stay and join us after the service.
This is a wonderful and important conversation that we are having. The first session was so rich in the things that were shared and the ideas presented about how might we name ourselves to really embody the religious and spiritual diversity that is inherent in our religious community. So thank you in advance for joining in these conversations. And today is a very special day. It is Thanksgiving Day in Transylvania, Romania.
Oh.
Which is where our partner congregation, the Unitarian Church of Dissent St. Martin, is located. And they are celebrating Thanksgiving today, as well as celebrating 30 years of ministry of their minister, Reverend St. Georgie. We sent letters of greetings to the Dissent St. Martin congregation, and also this wonderful digital picture of Cedar Lane that last year, you may recall, over 100 of you signed this picture that we were able to deliver with our former member, Karoi Virag, who's there at Dicha now. And so we joined together in wishing our partner church a very happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. And today is also a very special day because we have a special guest who has traveled all the way from Chennai, India, to be with us, T.M. Krishna. T.M. Krishna is an acclaimed Carnatic musician. He's a writer, an author, an activist, a non-conformist, and a maker of good trouble. Yes. You are among friends, Krishnaji. He's the recipient of many awards, including the Ramon Magsaysay Award in 2016 for his forceful and courageous commitment as an artist and advocate to art's power to heal India's deep social divisions, breaking barriers of caste and class to unleash what music has to offer, not just for some, but for all. We are so blessed to have you join us for worship this morning, Krishnaji. Welcome.
Thank you.
And now, friends, I invite us to center yourselves for a moment. Get comfortable in your space, and as you feel moved, close your eyes, place your feet on the floor if your feet reach the floor, and take a breath. Let us breathe together. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And as you situate yourself in that deep place within, known by many names, let these ancient words flow through you. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
That is whole. This is whole. From wholeness is manifested wholeness, taking wholeness from wholeness. Only wholeness remains.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In this spirit we gather. In this spirit we begin. Let us now take a moment and greet our neighbor in person and online. Let us recenter ourselves. Holding this holy energy of joy and begin. We invoke the words of Keshav Chandra Sen, the leader of the Brahma Samaj. Unto the faith universal, which is the depository of all ancient wisdom, and the school of all modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets a harmony, in all scriptures a unity, and through all dispensations a continuity, which abjures all that separates and divides and always magnifies humanity and peace, which seeks truth in freedom, justice in love, and individual discipline in social duty, and which shall make of all persons, sects, classes, nations, and races one beloved community. Unto this faith, and unto all its members, known and unknown throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hearts and our hands.
Good morning, Cedar Lane. So good to see all of you. I'm Barb Warman, the worship associate for today's service. My pronouns are she and her. As Mamahau and Balaji Narasimhan kindle the chalice, a symbol of our shared faith and gathered community, please share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. Please rise in body and or in spirit and join me in reading the words in bold. We light this flame, the bright warmth of belonging, of companionship, of interdependence. We light this flame to call to mind the holy, known by many names and by none, which holds and sustains us. We light this flame to remind us we belong to the earth, our sacred home. We light this flame to remind us we belong to the entire human family. We light this flame to celebrate this community here gathered, to which we belong, which claims our loyalty and affection. We light this flame in affirmation of the responsibility we share to ensure all are welcome and know they belong in our communities.
Feels old sitting in a different chair.
It's all good. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me over.
Not a problem. So, we've got a few questions here. And especially with me, in music, I wanted to ask, can you share with us what got you interested in music, Carnatic music, and how it ties to your own spiritual practices?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me here. To give you a context, I belong to South India, live in a city called Chennai. It's a coastal city, and I come from a family of business people, but a family deeply interested in the arts. Carnatic music is one of the various forms of art you find in India. I don't like to use the word classical, but for reference, you could call it one of the classical forms of India. I call classical a bogus word, but... right from childhood, it was an environment of listening to this form of music. And when I was about 4 years old, my mother thought that I had some inclinations. And I started learning. I never thought I'll be a musician. I wanted to be an economist.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And it was when I was just finishing school, getting into college, to my undergraduation, is when people looked at me and said, I think you should take this seriously. You should not be thinking it's one of those hobbies that'll happen in life.
Sure.
So I kind of stumbled into becoming a professional musician, not something I really wanted to do. But it's also true that a lot of people around me, younger talent who were emerging at that point of time, were part of the galvanizing force that gave me the spirit to say, this is probably what I can do. So economics was thrown to the dustbin, and music became my life. And it's just that things worked out. It's also true that I had enough privileges to take this as an art form. It's important to put that out, because it's not easy taking music as a career, any art form. They're very niche, they have very specific audiences,
Yes.
and you never know. There are these ifs and buts. How do you know you're going to make it? How do you know you're going to survive? So I think I had the privilege and the parents to say, give this a shot. If it doesn't work, get back to school. So that allowed me a great amount of leverage to do what I did, and here I am.
Awesome. We tell people these days, if you want to go in music, make sure that this is really what you want to do, because there's so much else involved in music. And it's just such a great expression of oneself, of one's faith. The other one I wanted to ask you, in 2016, you won the Ramon Magsaysay Award, and you are known for breaking barriers and social divisions. So how do you deal with what may be described as controversy in doing the work that you do as an activist?
I think I announced the question about the spiritual practice. I'll kind of tag it with this one. When I started singing this form of music, let me also place all these forms that we call classical. The word should be elite. It's not classical. Any society in the world, the art form that's called classical is practiced by the elite. It's nurtured by the elite. So that elite is a social construction, not an economic construction. So it could be race, it could be caste, it could be color, it could be ethnicity, it could be religion itself. So within that context, so if you take Western classical music, and that's basically the music that the white people made to be the most important music, which is why you'll never call jazz classical. It's simply speaking, it's a social, discriminative, aesthetic practice. We often forget that aesthetics is also discriminative. What sound you like, what color you like, what smell you like, what you think is beautiful is not something that comes from inner voice that is universally shared, or very simply foot preferences. That's a cop-out. The truth is it comes from social, cultural habituation, and depending on which part of the ladder you belong to, which step you stand on, you either have the power to say this is it, or you say, oh, I want to be like that. Both being problematic, right? So when I practice Carnatic music, the reason I'm putting this in context is because when I practice Carnatic music is elite music. It's bound by the caste system in India, which is just another form of segregating people. And I have the privilege of caste, I have the privilege of gender, I have the privilege of economy. Nothing I could complain about. So I've got, this music is incredible. I love the music, I still love it, I sing it every day. But I didn't think of it in this deep sense for years. I mean, I wanted to be a great musician, I wanted to cut records, I wanted to travel the world, I wanted to make people applaud, I wanted to be happy, I wanted to have people say, you're the best. And that's exactly what I did for many, many years. So if you ask me first what got me into this place of controversy, that's why I'm taking this long-winded route to answer your question. I didn't recognize that there was all this that I was carrying with me for a long time, right? My search began with a very simple question about the music. I reached a point where I had worked the music out. I knew how to make people happy. I know exactly how to get an applause from you. I know exactly how to make you cry. I know how to make you cry where. I know how to make you smile. And I'm serious that every artist knows this.
Sure.
Every artist knows this. So after a point I was saying, okay, what am I doing here? Is this a transactional exchange of commonality or cultural habituation? So you know what to expect from me, you come and get it from me, I know what to give it to you, and both of us are happy going back home. Is this all I'm going to do all my life? So the question then said, okay, what is this music? Where did it come from? So I started actually musicological research. I was a practitioner who went back to old treatises. So this led to many questions of how beauty is created.
Sure.
What is the idea of something sounding beautiful? Is it time-bound? Is it, what is transcendental? What is tradition? And all these questions. And that's when my practice of music first changed. And then the moment you start these questions, you realize it's not just a philosophical question, it's aesthetic, it's social, it's political, and you politicize yourself. So the controversies then start, doubling up. I will say initially it was scary.
Right.
It was frightening. Because you really don't know where this is going. I mean, you really don't know where you're going, honestly, right? You're pretty much just walking a path and you have no clue. And in my area of aesthetics and finding aesthetics to be something that divides people, it was entirely new to me. And I didn't have somebody to bank on to come back. So, but I think then you realize that you do this because, very simply put, this is the right thing to do. But you also do it, I think, because you're doing it not for that person, but you're doing it for yourself. So the questions you're asking is not to change other people.
Right.
The questions you're asking are actually to yourself. It so happens you're sharing the question in public, that's all.
Yep.
That's all you're doing. So I'm sharing the questions and grappling with ideas that I think I'm living with, and I'm just sharing it with you. If you feel it's anything to grapple with, please do so. If you think it's nothing, don't do it. If you think you've already worked it all out, I'm glad for you. So I think then the controversy doesn't become a problem. Of course it troubles you. I think what really troubles me with the controversy is not me, but the people around me.
Sure.
That's something you can't reconcile because they are affected by this. And there's no way for you to emotionally handle that.
Sure.
Because do you stop doing what you do because somebody near and dear is affected? Or do you then censor yourself? Do you then choose your battles? All these words are iffy words and phrases. You know, choose your battles.
Yes.
What does that really mean? Nobody knows. How do you choose? Who decides one battle is more important than the other battle? We don't know. Right? So, finally, spiritual practice. You know, that's a word I've stayed away from for many, many years.
Okay.
And because I really don't know what the other person thinks when I use that word.
Okay.
Because that word has baggage for everybody, every one of us. So when I say spiritual, I'm worried about, okay, spiritual, this is what it means, this is what he's saying.
Sure.
So I actually stayed away from it for many years, and I've stopped staying away so much now than before. Because I just felt that I think it's important to tackle the fact that everybody has a different meaning.
Sure.
Rather than say, I won't go there because everybody has a different meaning. Now I use the word because I think that everybody has to take that different meaning, and we'll work with the different meanings to try and understand whether there is some little thread that's common among the different meanings. So for me, music is a profound experience.
Definitely.
And it's profound not because I'm levitating, not because you guys are levitating. I don't care if you levitate or not. It doesn't bother me. It's none of my business. But I think the most incredible thing about a profound experience is not the beautiful thing about it, is that it's a mirror. It gives you an opportunity to see how ugly you are.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that's profound. And music every time is a mirror that tells me, this is how ugly you are.
Powerful words. Powerful. I don't want to go too much further because you've got an amazing sermon for us.
You've not heard it as yet?
I don't want to give it away. I could go on with many, many questions, but thank you so much for this short amount of time into your insight. I can't wait for what you have to tell us later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a ton. Thank you so much. Thanks.
And now I'm going to invite our quartet up.
I'll get that.
And as we sing this next hymn, the kids are going to leave on verse number 2. Kevin, what song are we singing? Almost.
Please rise in body or in spirit to sing hymn 1008 in the Teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Let us center ourselves and enter into this moment, calling upon all the sources of love that are within, among, and around us. We gather in sacred space across time and space, a sanctuary amid the many challenges of life, a center from which we may gather strength to face these challenges with courage and hope, faith, and love. Within our Cedar Lane community, we celebrate with Perry and Diane Seifert, whose grandson Calvin James was born on September 15th to Birchie and Paul Seifert. The entire family, including siblings Charles and Clara, are doing fine at home in Tacoma Park. We hold in prayer Heidi Hill's friend Steve Lampkin as he awaits life-saving heart surgery, and her friend who is suffering from depression. We send healing wishes to Betsy Binks, who's temporarily moved to rehab. She appreciates all the cards and wishes you've sent her while she was in the hospital. You can still send cards to Betsy in care of the church. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to others whose lives are lost and whose lives are impacted by violence, war, and calamities in our nation and in our world. Especially this week, we hold the people of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Bermuda, and Canada in our hearts as they recover from the devastating impact of Hurricane Fiona. May these friends of ours, our companions in the world, and all the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts be held in the embrace of meditation and silence.
I invite you all to join us in a guided song meditation. First, I would ask that if you have anything in your hand, set it down. Allow your arms to rest comfortably, both feet planted, and take a deep breath. Now Kevin will lead us in a hum. Join in. I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. Please, would you join me? I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me.
As we enter into the silence, we take a moment to honor and remember those that we have lost, an anniversary of a loss, and we invite you to stand and speak the name of that person or to share it online in the chat.
Reverend Rob Eller Isis. Yeah.
I invite you each to just sit in this community together, to feel the energy of us all flowing around and between us. And remember that when we take our offering every Sunday, it is a symbolic gesture of that energy and community that we are holding here now together. And as part of our extended community, extending beyond the walls of Cedar Lane, this energy that's flowing around and between us, we share our offering with a local community organization each Sunday. And this Sunday, we're sharing with a community that's very close to my heart called Rainbow Youth Alliance. And Rainbow Youth Alliance provides bi-weekly, adult-facilitated, peer-to-peer support group meetings for LGBTQIA+ high school students aged 13 to 18. RYA was actually started by a UU at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Rockville, so our sister neighbor congregation. And she wanted a safe space for her child to explore the many intersection of her child's identity, including sexuality. So by supporting RYA, you're not just supporting some theoretical youth group or youth far away in some far off place, but you're supporting youth actually that live and go to school and work and play sports in your very own neighborhood. Maybe even someone you love or care about who needs a safe space to be their whole entire beloved self. So I invite you to support the work of RYA by texting 73256 to Cedar Lane, plus the amount you'd like to give, or using PayPal or online or the QR code, or by simply mailing a check to the church or placing your gift in the offering plate. However you choose to give, we are so grateful for your generosity and support. Our offering will now be gratefully given and received. Thank you.
Stand on the rock for freedom. Stand on the rock for justice.
Stand on the rock for liberty. We must stand up on the rock.
Stand on the rock. Stand on the rock for freedom. Stand on the rock for justice. Stand on the rock for liberty. We must stand up on the rock. We're taking a stand against all hatred and greed. We must stand up on the rock.
And showing compassion for those in need. We all must stand people for who they are. We all must stand up on the rock. Stand on the rock for freedom, let it ring. Stand on the rock for justice, let it ring. Stand on the rock for liberty. We must stand up on the rock. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Rocks and mountains don't fall on me. Rocks don't fall on me. Stand on. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Rocks and mountains don't fall on me. Stand on the rock for freedom. Stand on the rock for justice, let it ring. Stand on the rock for liberty. We must stand up on the rock. Stand on the rock. Stand on the rock. Just stand up on the rock. Stand on the rock. Stand on the rock. Just stand up on the rock. Stand on the rock. Stand on the rock. Just stand up on the rock. Stand on the rock for liberty. We must stand up on the rock.
Good morning once again. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Just ruminate on a few ideas. One word that has now caught the imagination of people, I think across the world, is the word diversity. And it's a word that we all use, we all believe in, we all speak of in affirmation. But we always use the word as an external word, the diversity out there, the diversity around us, the diversity of people, of color, of race, of gender, etc., etc. And I sometimes wonder whether one of the problems of speaking it as being something out there that we need to recognize and internalize and embrace is that we don't realize that it needs to begin with the investigation of the diversity within us as individuals. We are not homogeneous thinkers, each of us. And diversity is not necessarily within us entirely what you can bracket as good, bad, evil, etc. We exist as within us with conflicting experiences, conflicting emotions, conflicting thoughts. So there's a huge plethora of diversity within ourselves. So when we want to deal with the diversity out there, from whatever position we are from, are we equipped enough to do so honestly, emotionally and psychologically, if you're not willing to see and recognize the fact that we are not just one person with one set of ideas who say, I believe in diversity and hence I embrace it. So when I said internal diversity, I really mean about being brutally honest with the fact that what we believe is diversity over there is not what we feel necessarily on an everyday basis. We are not diverse within ourselves on an everyday basis. We are parochial, we are limited, and in a way, even the diversity we embrace is at times convenience. Diversity suits a certain context. Diversity suits a certain time. Diversity also maybe suits our own vulnerability. Right? So, the reason I speak of this is there's this other word that probably is, in a way, you can segue to, is inclusivity. Right? And I've always found that word very disturbing because the obvious question is who's including whom, right? I prefer the expression non-exclusivity rather than the word inclusivity. Because non-exclusivity just says that you will not be exclusive. That's it. Right? It doesn't say anything about anything else. Because all these acts and these discussions at some level are selfish. They are, because they're about yourself at some level. So when we speak about equality, when we speak about humanism, when we speak about pluralism, we speak about all these lovely things and none of us are going to disagree about it. And that's the problem. That's precisely the problem. Because we're not willing to investigate our problems with every one of those words on an everyday act-thought basis. What we think is not necessarily what we feel. And that is something I think we have to recognize. Not always. They do come together at times and they do stay apart at times. What do we do when they are apart? That's the question we have to ask. Many times I believe, there's no reason I should not intellectually, in my mind, not understand or comprehend the idea of diversity, of the need to be embracing everything that exists in this world. But do I really feel that way every moment of my life? And I think the answer is a no-brainer. We really don't. We really don't. Therefore, there is that gap between what we think, what we even believe in, and what we experience. The question is, how is what we think going to become an experiential everyday moment? And that's where the struggle is. That's where the struggle is. And in finding that bridge or finding that way, maybe we'll never find it too. That's also a possibility. We can't rule that out. But as far as I'm concerned, what I look for in myself is the ability to live in that grappling. To be acutely aware every day of my life that there is this grappling between what I call outside, what I call inside, what I call understanding, what I call belief, what I call feeling or experience. There are these very, very naughty positions that we are all in. Can we permanently remain in that? That is what is my most important question. That's where I like to stay. I'm not looking for a solution. That's the worst thing we can do. Because the moment you're looking for a solution, you're like, I've ticked the box, I'm done. What's the next problem? Let's move. But if I say I'm not looking for a solution, and I say, I just want to live in the problem, and actually that's a very positive experience. And when I live in that problem, then the clarity of these diverse feelings, experiences, thought remain with me every day of my life. And as an extension of this, and I'll kind of finish with that, is also, I was born in a Hindu family. I wouldn't say traditional in the old sense, but yes, habits are habits. Hindu family, grew up in a Hindu family. Many of my friends in my family are still Hindu in that sense, believe in that faith. Or somebody is Christian, or somebody is Muslim, etc. And here too we have these questions. How do we have a conversation with the faithful of every religion without being condescending, but yet grappling with the complexity within each one of them? And I think that's a question, especially in this day and age, we have to ask ourselves every day. The easy way out to stay is either take the sociological route and say, oh, everything is a social construction, religion is a social construction, it segregates people, blah, 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 okay? Or you take the other route and say, all this is a construction of modernists. In its actual true sense, when it was written for the first time, nobody knows what happened then. It was this pure creation by God or who else it may be. Both don't deal with the reality that the beautiful and ugly always coexist. They always coexist. So the question for me is, how do I have these conversations with myself and with other people, with the people of various faiths? It's not enough if I say embrace all faiths. That's such an easy thing to say. It's just, sometimes I feel good. You just feel good about yourself saying I embrace all faiths. But what do you know about Islam? What do you know about Hinduism? Or what do you know about Christian? Every religion. And when I say not textually, I mean in the experience of each one of them. For the people who experience them. So if I'm going to have a conversation with a person of X faith, what is my conversation? Where is societal discrimination going to come in that conversation? Where is the experience of faith, which is true to that person, still not to be considered irrelevant? So can we capture that experience and yet have a complex conversation of how that experience and the structure are actually in contradiction? I'll end with a song, and it's from some work we are doing. There was a king by name Ashoka. It's about 200 before Common Era. And it's a very interesting story of this king. He was a monarch in India. He conquered most of the land, one of the largest pieces of land he was ruling over. And then he goes to this territory called Kalinga. And it's a huge war. In his own admission, more than 150,000 people were killed, maimed, people lost homes, etc. And that moment somehow seems to be a catalyst for his transformation. May not be just that moment, but that definitely pushed him in a direction, and where he transformed into a king who followed the Buddhist faith. And in India, we have adopted certain symbols that he used even for national symbols of India. But nobody has really gone into his reign. And the most amazing thing about this king is the fact that he put out on rock faces and pillars messages to his subjects. And not messages like any king. Imagine this is 200 BC. That's when the Greeks, everybody were conquering around the world and telling the world about, I got this land, I killed so many. And it's all pride and machismo and valor and violence. And this is the man who puts out edicts, as we call them, across his land, talking about ethical life, talking about non-violence, being honest about his own follies, telling people how can we live a better life, how can we be more compassionate, telling his officers, telling his bureaucrats, saying you need to be kind. This is pretty much unheard of in the ancient times. And nobody had really looked into these edicts. I decided a couple of years ago, for various reasons, to look into the edicts and share them in musical form, because I think they speak to all of us. And I'm going to give you a summary of the translation of the bits I'm going to sing for you. The word dharma, or dhamma as it was in Pali, it's one of those words that are very difficult to translate, very honestly. And you can think of it as righteousness. And in this case, we've used the word justice. And I think justice in the larger sense of what it means to feel just, what it means to live in justice. And also remember, he's a king, so justice is also a word of governance. Right? So, this is what he says. And this is a kind of a poetic translation. He says, all my people are my children. I yearn for their welfare. Then he asks, welfare how? Good in this world and the other. There is no gift like the gift of justice, like the celebration of justice. like participating in justice. Then this next paragraph, harmony is the best. Harmony is the best, but what is harmony? Listening to reflections on justice. It could be also faith, because Dhamma could also be a faith. Listening to reflections on justice. Listening to another's reflection on justice. And the next phrase, I think, is most important. He says, listening to another's reflection on justice willingly. And the final verse is a verse where he talks about his conquering Kalinga. The previous verse, which is not part of this, is where he describes how many people died, etc. And then he says this. He says, after Kalinga was won, reflecting on justice, practicing justice, and enjoining justice, Ashoka himself is contrite. And then he asks the question, did Ashoka win Kalinga? Question mark. I'm going to sing parts of it. Let's see, do I have time? Yes. My phone's, oh, it's here, right here. It's in a language that is unused today. The language is called Prakrit. It's an ancient language that's not in practice. And it's probably the first time this language has been sung in 2,000 years. We know, for example, when these edicts were put out, they were probably read out. Maybe weekly, some elder from the village came and read it out. We don't think it was sung. So, here we go. मुनि से पजा मम अथा पजाये इच्छामि कौन क्योंकि मुनि से पजा मम अथा पजाये इच्छामि कौन क्योंकि all my people are my children. I yearn for their welfare. Welfare how? Savena hita sukhena hidalokika palalokikayam. Savena hita sukhena hidalokika palalokikayam. Good in this world and the other. Nasti yadisham dhanam yadisham dharma dayanam. There's no gift like the gift of justice. Dharma samstavo dharma samvibhago dharma sambandho nasti yadisham dhanam yadisham dharma dhayanam dharma samstavo dharma samvibhago dharma sambandho. Like relating to this gift of justice, celebrating justice and participating in justice. Tasamavayo eva sadhu. Harmony is the best. Tasamavayo eva sadhu kyunti. But what is harmony? Dhamma srunaru. Listening to reflections on justice. Annasadhammam srunaru. Listening to another's reflections on justice. Annasadhammam srunaru cha susu seracha. Listening to another's reflections on justice willingly. Tatopacha adhuna ladeshu. after Kalinga was won. Tatopacha adhuna ladeshu kalingeshu tivre dharmashilana dhrama kamata dramanushastica tatopacha adhuna ladeshu kalingeshu tivre Dhamashilana dhrama kamata dramanushastica. Reflecting on justice, practicing justice, enjoining justice. Devana piyasa soasti anusochana. Ashoka is contrite. Devana piyasa soasti anusochana. Devana piyasa soasti anusochana. Devana priyasa vijiniti chakaligani. Devana priyasa vijiniti chakaligani. Devana priyasa vijiniti chakaligani. And Ashoka asks, did Ashoka win Kalinga?
You gave us an appetizer. We're still waiting for the thali. Thank you. Wow. Those were some provocative and unsettling questions you raised. You know, some of those words, diversity, inclusiveness, pluralism, these are very much sacred words for Unitarian Universalists. Not that we feel we have the copyright on them, but we sometimes, you know, like to think we have the copyright on them in the way we use them. You know, you heard in our welcome and all, you know, that's, but it's also not just from our lips. We try to do that as a reminder to invite ourselves to the work of trying to bridge that gap that you lifted up between what we say, what we think, and what we experience. Professor Diana Eck, who teaches at Harvard, talks about pluralism as experiencing the holy as seen and experienced by the other. And I think I heard you lift that up. The practice of what we commit ourselves to in this religious journey. So thank you, Krishnaji, for bringing this challenge to us and invite us into deeper reflection and engagement as we strive to build the beloved community of all of us, not just here, but in the larger community. Grateful, grateful. We're grateful to all who bring to make this a beloved community and to bring us all together to come together to worship every Sunday. We're grateful to T.M. Krishna for his presence and blessing us with his words and his music, to Reverend Dana Edwards and Barb Warman, who helped us with the service this morning, our amazing music ministry team, Jenny Lynn, Travis, Kevin, Naomi, Dr. Jasmine Lee, and Adam Scott Graham, for your blessings this morning. To our volunteers, our ushers, our hospitality volunteers, our faith formation volunteers and staff, and Angela Wall for that beautiful flower arrangement, and our AV team, who really helps this service come alive Sunday after Sunday. Michael McCrickard, Peter Lowenthal, Barb Thompson, and Ariel Mora. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as we bring our time, this time, to a close, I invite us once again to center ourselves.
May peace radiate in the whole sky, as well as in the vast ethereal space everywhere. May peace reign all over this earth, in water and in all herbs, trees, and creepers. May peace flow over the whole universe. May peace be in the supreme consciousness, Brahman. And may there always exist in all peace and all alone. Peace, peace, peace.
Om Dhyauh Shantihi Antariksham Shantihi Prithvi Shantihi Apah Shantihi Oshadhaya Shantihi Vanaspataya Shantihi Vishve Deva Shantihi Brahma Shantihi Sarvam Shantihi Shantireva Shantihi. Om Sarve Santu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.